It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
April 24th, 7:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Mystery Mark, how are you?
I'm doing okay, actually. How about you?
Good. You sound better. You're
I'm
over
better.
the cold now?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm at the back end of it, so I'm doing much better, for sure.
The back end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got a lot. We have results from White Mountain, big $20,000 tournament up in the hinterlands last weekend.
Okay.
So we'll get to that. We had a pretty good response on the stance thing. So
Good.
We need to kind of like address some of that stuff.
Well, plus we have to move on to the next phase of.
Well, and we'll definitely do that. I want to go on a rant. I promised that I would check with Steve Brown because I was dissing him last week. So I did do that. I had a conversation with him.
How did you diss him last week?
Because I was saying he was insane for standing like 3 inches behind the line for no apparent reason. So
exactly.
I got an explanation from him. It only took 15 minutes, so I will paraphrase it and boil it down.
Yes, exactly.
One would hope. Just a reminder, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. You can always email us, darttalk@gmail.com. You could follow us on Twitter @darttalk. Like us on Facebook. And now... This is the coolest thing. We're going to start putting all the shows up on YouTube. And I was like, I spent a lot of time actually, so I can actually throw little captions and mock you. So the YouTube thing is going to be funny. We could throw in jokes
fantastic.
and stuff, yeah. So we could jazz it up a little bit. So
That
makes
me feel better about coming here every week.
Well, if it wasn't
just
for
to be mocked, sure,
yeah,
why not?
well,
I'll show up.
It's it's a sign of affection, I suppose.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what people tell me. I've been mocked my whole life.
However you want to spin it.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a YouTube channel dedicated to the show, just like we have the Dart Talk channel on Ustream. We now have a channel on YouTube. It's called Dart Talk US, which is also the name of the website that I have that I have not had time to work on because I'm working on the YouTube thing right now. So.
That being said,
yeah, you can go on YouTube and subscribe, and then when something's uploaded and stuff, it'll tell you. I think that's how it works.
Okay.
And
I think you're correct on that.
I think everybody's going to get a huge kick out of what we'll be doing on YouTube now and in the future. So we'll still have the podcasts up on iTunes, and you could still subscribe to them and get them automatically and all that jazz. And as far as Ustream goes, we're going to keep using it because they fixed the one thing that I didn't like. And so the only problem with Ustream is that the video archives on the show, we're not going to be able to have 50 shows up there. So we'll have to figure out some way to save all the video. But for now, that's the current plan. Wait till you see the credits.
I like the current plan.
I was in here till 2 a.m. the other night to do like a pre-recorded credits thing that I was going to paste in and like broadcast. We have Angie doing the audio.
Right.
So we're going to do, except that part of Ustream isn't working. Or it's
non-existent.
It's too smart for me to figure out because it really wasn't working, but I'll give it another whack. So maybe next week we'll be able to do
this show
the title
evolves
sequence.
every week. There's something new. It just
there really is.
It's a reason to pay attention because you never know what we're going to come up with the next week.
Well, we do try to keep it lively and we do try to keep it fresh. And in the spirit of that, I've been there's two things that we really want three things that we really want to try to increase our focus on. One is youth darts, and we have our crack correspondent working as we speak on doing a youth dart special, which is going to be pretty cool.
Okay.
And we're going to try to devote...
Do we name the crack correspondent? Or
Angie. Angie's going to do it,
oh.
yeah.
The
So,
woman that is going to join us here in a few minutes.
No, that's Andrea.
Oh, Andrea, a different woman.
Well, we have Andrea Taylor waiting in the wings. Another thing that I want to focus on, the second thing was league darts, and I want to get more, league players, involved in the show, and I want to try to, talk more about league darts as best we can. I mean, we cover all the tournaments and we cover all the top players and everything, but I don't want to give short shrift to the people that are basically, the meat and potatoes of darts.
The reason to keep it going.
Well, the reason to keep
Everybody
it going
gets
is people
better.
love to play.
Right.
I love to play. I mean, for me, and I've said it before, the process of improving is what hooked me.
Right.
Because I think as a Virgo by nature, like I'm a perfectionist or what have you. So,
I don't believe any of that astrology stuff. Astrology.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like all of a sudden there's a 13th sign.
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking is bad luck anyway, but,
What's wrong with the number 13, pal?
Well, I'm not a whatever, ever phobia or whatever it is, but I don't know. We had Friday the 13th went okay.
I think it's
a couple of Fridays ago.
Oh, I knew what it was.
Triska dicophobia or
Triska
something.
phobia is the fear of the number 13. But...
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't throw it a 13 very often, although I did the other day. I played league darts. I played 20 sets of singles since the last show.
Is it? That's a lot.
Yeah, and the sets are best of 5.
Right.
I played 5 sets.
Did you have to make something up? Or?
Well, they were all makeups. Apparently, I neglected to read the schedule and found out I had all these matches to play. So I played 10 sets against one guy Saturday afternoon. I played 5 sets in the afternoon yesterday, and then last Wednesday night I played 5 sets against somebody.
Triskaidekaphobia, by the way, it just came to me.
Smartest chat room.
No.
Oh, that's from you?
Just me.
All right. That's what we need, the smartest co-host in history.
Exactly.
Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so, yeah, but I want to get more women on the show, and the women, I find them to be, like, kind of reluctant. I think they're a little shy. They're a little mic shy. So, but there's something going on in Texas that I wanted everybody to be aware of. So check this out. They're going to try to set a world record. And we'll get Andrea on here in a minute, and she'll explain it because I'm sure I'll get this wrong. But they're going to try to set a world record for the most double bulls thrown in, I think, 10 hours.
Okay.
So they've got like...
What is the record, standing record?
Over 1,000.
Okay.
It's like 1,048 or
By
something.
how many people?
Well, I don't know. So we'll have... Andrea, I'm sure, can tell us. But it looks to me like they're going to have 8 or 10 people just lining up, and then one after the other, 3 darts at the bull, grab your darts, 3 darts at a bull, grab your darts, and then I guess they'll take breaks, and then people will keep the chain going. And in 10 hours, that's over 100 bulls an hour, 100 double bulls an hour, which is 1.3 something a minute.
A minute.
So if you can get 3, 5 people to the line in 1 minute, that's 15 darts. You only got to hit 1 out of 15.
Right. Only.
Well,
as you're in panic mode.
I think they can do it. They've got some really good players. I know I was talking to the guy who organized it. They have Andrea Taylor. They have Conley Litton.
15:05 is the current record. 8 people, 10 hours. 15:05 is the current
Okay,
record.
well, we'll get Andrea to explain it. But actually, as usual, the chat room knows about everything better than me.
Andy Chu is in the chat room.
Andy.
Hi,
All
Andy.
Right. I see Jeff Smith is in the chat room. I hope he heard the beginning of the show. Jeff, if you want to Skype in about a half an hour, we'd like to get you on the show and talk about White Mountain. I'll do the results for White Mountain really quick. I memorized them. You ready?
Go ahead,
All right.
please.
Jeff Smith, Callie West, Jeff Smith.
Well, I would have to say congratulations to Callie.
I actually had a talk with a couple of people because I asked somebody, has anybody swept all the events in a $20,000 tournament before? Because the fields are rough, and apparently John Part's done it. Mitch Payton's done it. Tony Payne did it. And all these guys. You're talking about like back in the '90s, and I don't know if the fields were tougher or less tough. Then I have no way of knowing. I wasn't around. Pretty sure they didn't have these cool banded boards or anything like that. But congratulations to Jeff. Also, I hear Easton Veljic swept them all like 6 years ago at White Mountain. So maybe
it's a White
for some
Mountain
reason
thing.
White Mountain is more sweepable. I don't know. I suspect that Jeff had to have thrown awfully well to win that many matches.
You couldn't control one, he says.
Well, I'm not going to count blind draws, especially if, somebody's like, yeah, I won the blind draw, and I'm like, well, who'd you play with? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know his name.
Right.
Then I don't want to hear that you won the blind draw. At least know your partner's name. It's not that hard to do. But anyway, let's see if we can get Andrea Taylor to tell us more about. Hopefully, we could start with White Mountain first. Can you hear us, Andrea?
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Steve?
Good. Say hello to my co-host, Mystery Mark.
Hi, Andrea.
Hello, Mystery Mark.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good to talk to you.
So
You too, man.
Let's start with White Mountain if we can. I hear Jeff Smith had a pretty good weekend.
He did. Every event for the entire weekend, you heard his name come over the loudspeaker more than anyone else's, and he played amazingly well. He was definitely the name that everybody was talking about, for sure.
I did get some little messages, here and there. There was a funny post from Levi Remick, who I think by middle of Saturday had seen enough of Jeff. So not quite sure what brought that on, but hopefully Skype in later, Jeff. Maybe you could tell us about it. I haven't seen you around lately. I last I talked to you, you lost your sponsor, I think. So it's good to see you're getting back on the road.
Well, I lost my grandmother, and while she was my sponsor, she was also my support group. She was the person that really pushed me to play and play well and to have fun with it. So when I lost her, it put me in a position financially, but more than that, it put me in a position mentally and emotionally, which will affect anyone's dart game, to really play well. So it's taken me getting to a point where I can deal with that loss to get back to where I can actually play this game with any kind of consistency.
And the same kind of passion. Have you gotten that back, or is it are you kind of struggling with that still?
The passion is definitely there. The drive and that hunger that I think that the people that travel a lot have, all of that is still there. Now for me, it's more a matter of getting the experience of the pressure darts again. I got to that point once, and I took that time off, and I'm not used to playing under pressure where things actually matter. So now that I'm getting back into that, I'm folding a little bit to the pressure, but all in all, I'm playing well.
Do you think that's a mental thing because your mind might not be where it's supposed to be in order to play darts because you're still thinking of other things? Or is it just in the act of not playing, of taking the time off?
I really believe that it's just a matter of having taken the time off. I'm in a place mentally now that I've never been in before, even back when I was throwing all the time. I'm in a better place mentally now. Now it's not so much about to me, it's not chasing points. It's not proving myself or any of that. It's playing to have fun, and it's playing to say, hey, you know what? I can do this. I'm as good as everybody else. And really trying to make some accomplishments and hopefully make a little bit of a name for myself in the process.
Well, I think you did that a couple of years ago as far as making a name for yourself. I don't know, when you're talking about pressure and stuff, when you're playing, in Texas, notice I said Texas, not Texas.
I didn't really notice, actually.
It's a subtle thing.
Very subtle.
Do you play with the same group of people that are pushing you, or are you kind of off on your own there, and then you're playing people on the road?
For the most part, I play the same group of people locally. I don't play any League, mostly because there are things that come along with League that I don't like. I'm a rhythm shooter. I like to be able to shoot in a rhythm. I have a certain amount of stamina, if you will. I like to be able to play multiple games in a row, to stay warm, and I can do that for a long period of time. And in League, you play one game and you sit for half an hour, and you play one game and you sit for half an hour or an hour, and the rhythm of it throws me off, and I can't play.
We've discussed that on the show before too.
But I play a lot of blind draws, and when I'm playing a blind draw, I try to play side games in between matches to stay up and going and maintain my stroke and my focus that way. But as far as pressure situations go, I consider a pressure situation to be like a finals or a semifinals or even a top 4, top 8 at a major event, something that where you're not necessarily the money, but you're playing a name as well as a game. You're playing Callie West, for example, or Robin Curry, or Marilyn Pop, or Brenda Rausch. You're playing big names in darts, and you want to be able to win those matches because for no other reason than it feels good to be able to say, "Hey, I did that." So that to me means more than a League match or a blind draw.
Yeah, I'm kind of off blind draws the last 4 or 5 months. I've completely lost my enthusiasm for them. And maybe it's just me. I don't know. I have to be in a particular frame of mind to play in a blind draw and play the way I normally can play. And, with the locals, a lot of them are tired of seeing me show up.
Can you differentiate, though, the difference between just playing in a blind draw for fun since it's the beginning of a tournament or do you need the mental focus of you're still trying to win because it elevates you towards everything you're trying to do the rest of the tournament? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's definitely a different level of play. I play better with more pressure. I play more consistently, and I score higher numbers, hit more triples, things like that, in a situation of like a major tournament than in a blind draw. In a blind, it's too hard to focus in a blind draw.
Yeah, I have the same thing, and sometimes, if I have a partner who isn't that experienced and stuff, I end up doing a lot of explaining and giving a lot of emotional support, and I think that kind of is detrimental to my game. I mean, if you ask somebody who's been around longer than me, maybe they handle it better, but at some point I just get tired of it.
Yeah, if I'm playing a blind draw, I'm playing to try to, like I said, keep up my stroke and keep up with that muscle memory, the repetitiveness of actually throwing the dart. And if I draw somebody that's a little bit of a maybe less consistent player, I actually feel like that elevates my game, because if I want to win the blind draw, or if I want to show well in the blind draw, then that means I have to throw better in the blind draw. So for me, it's kind of the opposite. I prefer a weaker player to an extent. I mean, no, I don't think anybody really enjoys the night that they draw somebody that's never played before.
That's actually kind of my question. Is it better just to go out into a blind draw and play for fun, where you're just using it to get better for the rest of the weekend, or do you just dislike blind draws in general and you don't think it really helps your game for the events that you're actually going to win?
I think they help me because it gives me an opportunity to familiarize myself with my surroundings and the people that are there, kind of get a feel for the room and how the boards are working out, the lighting, that kind of thing. So I think the blind draws actually help me for the rest of the weekend. They help me relax.
That's good. Okay, let's just take a quick break, Andrea, and then we'll bring you right back. Just a reminder, everybody, you are what are you listening to? You're listening to Dart Talk, and brought to you by the Dart Zone. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and we'll be back in a minute.
And like it's a coincidence that we both want to see a movie, or say, let's just go hang out. Of course I'm going to say yes to that. I want to go hang out with a friend. But it gets weird when that friend tries to kiss me. I don't need one more guy in my life trying to have sex with me.
Please. I love it how girls act like they don't know the code. Like they don't know what hang out means. You agree to go to the movies with me. I show up bearing flowers. I pay for the movie. And the second I go in for a kiss, it's all, oh, we're just friends, right? Yeah, I asked you out because I need one more girl in my life who won't have sex with me.
Grow some balls.
Stupid.
When you buy something you don't need, just because it's on sale, you're not actually saving money. Think about it.
That just cracks me up. So we're back. You still there, Andrea?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let's, before we talk about the bullshoot thing, which I really want to go in detail on, Shay Reynolds was on the show, a week or two ago, talking about playing against men in particular. There's a PDC tournament coming up, there are 3 of them actually, and I know in the past some of the women have played in it and actually done pretty well. Have you thought about, playing in those PDC things?
I would love to play in a PDC event. When I kind of took my break that I took was when they started some of the women's PDC events, and I haven't had that opportunity yet. But as far as playing with the men in the PDC, I would love that opportunity. I feel like women in darts are sometimes underrated and not taken as seriously as some of the men, and I really think that if more of the top shooters in women's darts would turn out and play and make that attempt, you may not make it past your first round the first time you do it or the second time, but eventually the only way we get better is to play better players. So I really would love that opportunity at some point.
Well, you'll get 3 cracks at it this year. There's one in Chicago, one in Canada, and one in Atlantic City, I believe. So do you get more psyched up or more geeked up to play guys, or is it about the same as playing one of the top women?
Maybe a little bit more playing the guys, because the top shooters among women it's a little bit of a smaller group of people. I mean, you're looking at 20 or 30 women around the United States, if you're talking about U.S. darts, that are consistently in those top groups. And so I think to an extent we kind of get used to playing one another. We get in a bit of a comfort zone doing that. And so I think once you start playing some of the better shooters among the men, I think it helps not only increase our game, but for me personally, it does absolutely psych me up.
We'll have to watch out for her.
Well, that makes sense too. I mean, anytime you play somebody over and over and over again, there's always going to be a comfort zone. You need to keep it real, just keep moving on and playing other people, and everybody's game is different.
Right. I mean, you have to branch out and take some risks to kind of keep up. It's an adrenaline rush for me. It's an adrenaline rush to make it to those bigger events and the staged events for like finals, especially in Chicago. I know that Windy City a couple years ago I played, and they did the 501 singles like a PDC, where you drew the brackets out beforehand, you had a dress code, you followed PDC rules for the majority of the rules anyway for that event, and it gave a completely different feeling to the entire thing. It made it seem more serious and like it maybe meant more than it did. It was a singles 501, but it felt like a PDC would feel.
Yeah, I must say, as much as I bash, the Windy City League and stuff like that, they did make an attempt to create a special event with the 501 singles in Chicago, and I'm not quite sure what happened with everything, and that tournament's gone away now, but
right.
I'm kind of with you on that. Even having to wear, no jeans and no gym shoes and no flip-flops and, stuff like that, no headgear, no headphones. It kind of reminded me of wearing a uniform when I went to school. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it kind of like puts you in a bit more of a, if not professional, business-like sort of thing. Where
Structured
it's like,
environment.
Yeah. And
right, but in the United States, especially in the U.S., I know in other countries, and especially in Europe, darts is taken a lot more seriously. If we want the United States, the general public of the U.S., to take darts seriously, then the players have to take it seriously.
It can't be a club sport.
Well, yeah, and also,
right.
Which is a good segue into the rant I wanted to do about how ESPN needs to die. They put on the front page of their website. I don't know if you've seen it, but I posted it on Facebook because they have to cover the NFL draft for like 11 billion hours before they actually pick the guys that everybody knows you're going to pick anyway, right? Then they're going to spend a day and a half picking people you've never heard of, right?
And then they spend a week talking about what everybody picked.
Right. And it's like, okay, now that we've, why play the season?
Right.
Why have training camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stupid. So, but they have a picture of a guy who's standing in front of a dartboard, which is like, okay, I don't know who to pick. I guess I'll throw a dart, which just strikes. It was part of the reason I started doing this show is, people don't realize that, darts is a sport in America. And then they got the graphic is the guy with the wrong foot forward.
A right-handed darter.
Right-handed guy with a left foot forward. And I'm just like, okay, this is what we have in America. Our sports icon doesn't know a sport when it smacks him in the face. We need to send Tom Sawyer and Tom Curtin over to Bristol, Connecticut with their ADO shirts on or something and a dartboard under their arm and set it up in the lobby of the ESPN building and put on an exhibition so those knucklehead executives understand, for one, you throw it point first and not flight first.
Right.
Because these people are, I swear to God, and they need to be straightened out. And I don't know, we have to have somebody do it because it absolutely just drives me nuts.
Really?
I hate them. Sorry, Andrea. Bit of a tangent.
Sorry to
there.
cut into your time there, Andrea, but
No, that's absolutely fine. I clearly I need to see this picture because I haven't seen it yet.
Well,
and I think at this point I may be happy that I haven't seen it yet.
It's just, it's probably, it's supposed to be cartoonish and amusing, but I was not amused. Let me put it that way. Let's talk about this upcoming world record attempt that you guys
yes,
have
let's
going.
talk about that.
Yeah. What can you tell us?
Go ahead.
Well, no, you could just talk.
What's the motivation for it?
There are two. I can't speak for everyone, but two for me. The first one, and first and foremost, being that Americans can, in fact, play this game. We have players here that can shoot. I mean, we have some really, really tough competition, and for whatever reason, we don't have enough higher level competition like PDC, like the Ladbrokes, like World Masters, like those kinds of events here to really push a lot of American players overseas or, God forbid, push some of those bigger tournaments over here to the U.S. And, the team that has the record right now, they set that, I believe, last year. And it is 1,505 double bulls. Single bulls don't count. The record is for the most double bulls hit by a team in 10 hours. And it's a team that originated in England, and including Bob Anderson, who is an exceptional dart player, has been for years. But so first and foremost for me, it's a let's bring that record to the United States and kind of show the world that we can play darts too. Second of all, in the process of the record attempt itself, we are attempting to do some charity, give a little back to the community, and we're trying to raise, I believe our goal is $25,000 for the local food bank here. I figure, and Eric Lusk, who actually organized this whole thing, shout out to him because he's been amazing. When he put this together, he wanted to make sure that in the process of trying to break this world record that we did something good in the process, and I think that is extremely important.
Is there a limit to the amount of players for the team?
Yes, that limit is 8.
So 7 men and 1 woman, and then how many double bulls a minute do you have to average? Did somebody do the math on that?
I did it a while back, and I want to say it's 1.5. So you'd have to average, I would say, 2 double bulls per minute.
And how many people do you guys think you can get to the line in that time?
If I had to guess, in a minute is a lot longer than it sounds like it is. I would say we could probably get at least half of us to the line. And, because we still have to be able to throw. We can't just go up there and sling 3 darts and run off.
Hope you hit them.
So I think as long as we make sure to maintain our focus and our normal stroke levels, etc.
Plus, we
should be able to pull 3 or 4 people per minute minimum.
3 darts in 15 seconds, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you've got Donnie Joe on the team too. Do you guys have to retrieve?
Wait, we have who?
Donnie Joe.
No, we don't.
Oh, you don't? I was going to say because he has really short legs, and if you have to retrieve your darts, it would take him longer.
No, I would love to have Donnie Joe on the team. If for some reason this record gets broken by another team in the future and we have to reorganize another attempt, I would love to get Donnie Joe. But no, he's not on the team, and we do have to retrieve our own darts.
Okay. So who you've got, is it Gordon Goodwin, Conley Litton, yourself, Chris Helms? Who else you got on the team? You got a couple of people, Les Twyman?
Les Twynham, Christian Hagmark. Okay. We have a guy named Byron Dawsey.
Is he?
And there's a person who I can't remember. So you put me on the spot now, and I'm not 100%. Well, Chris Allen. Chris Allen is the other one. Most of us are local players. We live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, with the exception of Conley Litton and Chris Helms. I believe those are the that are coming in from out of town.
I don't think she heard you.
Oh, I said, how did we put you on the spot? You didn't know we were going to talk about this?
No, well, he started naming names, and I can remember them if I list them in the order in my head, but it took me a second. Sorry.
Okay, well, I think it's great. Are they going to, live stream it or something that we can kind of keep track? You've got, an official Bullseye scorekeeper going to be sitting there? I mean, how are you guys going to logistically do this?
Okay, we have, I know we have Jim Waldron coming up. Most people know him as the Mad Chalker.
Right. He's he runs tournaments in Texas.
Austin. Yeah, he's from Texas as well. He's coming up to keep score. I believe we have a couple of other volunteer scorekeepers. We have a official Guinness World Record attendant that will be there to kind of keep an eye on things. And it will all be broadcast live on justin.tv /Bullathon, all one word. So it'll all be up there. And I think Eric's trying to figure out how to keep a counter on the actual screen so that you can see as we hit what our number is at.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's figured that out yet or not, but I know he's trying to.
Yeah, have him send me something offline. There may be a way to do that on Justin. I'm trying to think if I've seen one before, but I'm sure you can figure something out. If you're only just, write it down somewhere and so people can see it and then change it every 10 minutes or something.
Right.
Or you can't use the flip over thing. That'd be it'd take you a long time to make one.
I'm sorry, what?
When is this taking place?
May 5th.
Oh.
May 5th, it's a Saturday from noon until 10 p.m. Central Time.
From noon till 10 p.m. Central Time, so that's a Saturday?
Yeah, it's Derby Day.
The race lasts a minute and a half.
There's more involved than just the one race.
Yeah, you get to watch the replay for 20 minutes. It still doesn't,
Right, but look, I mean, this is a 10-hour event.
True.
It's not like you can't check in during a commercial break and see where we're at here.
Well, no, I expect everybody to be glued to Justin TV for 10 consecutive hours.
10 consecutive hours.
And, make sure the guys keep and count correctly.
Well, yes, absolutely.
I just think this is great, Andrea. I'm so glad you guys are doing it, and I'm basically pretty jealous that, I don't get to play, but it'll be fun watching you guys.
I'm looking forward to it. When they approached me about it, it was, do you want to do a dart thing and raise some money for charity? And I said, absolutely, I'm going to be in on that. And it turned into this. And so once it turned into this, I kind of panicked a little bit. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. The number one question I think I get asked about this is, do I think we can do it? Do you really think you can do this? And my answer to that is absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't go into this believing that we may or we may not. We have to go in with it in our heads and in our hearts that not only can we break the record, but that we can do something for charity as well. And I really believe that it's possible. And as long as the 8 of us stick together, we've got a great team. And as long as the 8 of us stick together, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to accomplish our goal on this.
Yeah, I don't know some of the players on your team, but do you have a number in mind? Like, I'm thinking you guys ought to be able to do 1,600.
I'm hoping. Personally, for me, 1,506, and I'm a happy camper. I would be ecstatic if we hit more than that. I know a couple of the guys are talking about trying to push for 2,000. I know that there are already talks in the process of event that we do break this record, of teams being put together to challenge it almost immediately.
Oh yeah.
But
I think that's great.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's you're going to have like local media coverage and whatnot, stuff like that.
Yeah, we will. Like I said, Eric Lusk is the one that's kind of dealing with all that, so we don't have to. I know absolutely nothing about media coverage or how to. I can't draw a stick figure, so I can't do anything as far as marketing and design concepts and things like that. But I know we have a couple of the local radio stations here picking it up, and he's been doing interviews or is setting up interviews with some of the local newspapers and local TV shows. So I'm hoping that helps. If nothing else, you know, I would like to have a large turnout of support. Like I said, it's a 10-hour event. I don't expect anybody to show up at 11:30 and stay till it's done. But if we could get a good group of people to show up and maybe cycle in and out and rotate our support that way would be great. But more than anything, I think hitting that goal for raising the money for charity is right up there with that, if not more important.
Well, we're all behind you, and we wish you the best.
Good luck.
Think it's a fantastic idea, and I really hope you guys put it out of reach.
I hope you reach both
I hope we
goals.
do too.
I hope you get to break the record and raise $25,000.
Because we got a lot of soft tippers in Illinois, and just off the top of my head, I'm thinking, you know, if I could talk to like Ray Carver and Scotty Kirchner and Ben Dersch, and they all throw bullseyes. I'm leaving some people
You're
out.
already
not
building
Scott
a team.
Miller.
You're already
and,
building a team to break the record, aren't you?
Yeah, see, that's evil.
It is.
Isn't it? Yeah. No, but I think it's great.
Which
I
in
think,
effect that means that you're rooting they only get 1,506.
Well,
because if
no,
you're building a team,
no. I told her I hope they put it out of reach.
Right.
One last question: you're going to have a Guinness Book of World Records attendee. What kind of resume does that guy have for that job?
It's actually a lady that is, I believe it's Jessie from 102.1 The Edge. And if that's not correct, I apologize now. But I think that's who that is that's actually going to come out. She's a local radio personality, somehow affiliated with Guinness, that is actually going to come out and kind of keep an eye on things. And with that, obviously, it's a radio station, so hopefully we'll gain some support there as well.
Well, yeah, hopefully she's didn't get mixed up, and you know she's not affiliated with Guinness the beer.
That's what I was going to say. They're going to come out with a keg. Yeah, they don't come out with a World Book of Records. They come out with a keg of dark beer.
Gosh. Well, Andrea, we're going to take another break, so we'll let you go. I sure appreciate you checking in with us, and by all means, come back on the show and let us know how it went. We'll be
absolutely. Just kind of do a shameless plug. If you find me on Facebook, it's Andrea Taylor. One of my friends, or one of my pages, I should say, is for Bullshoot. Anybody can find it on there, and the websites are listed on there for how to follow the event, how to donate for charity, player profiles, things like that. Any of the information that you need is actually on there.
Awesome. Okay, well, go ahead and feel free to post it. Dart Talk has a Facebook page for the show. Go ahead and post it on there, and we'll leave it up there so everybody can see it.
By far not a shameless plug.
No.
No. Whole interview. All right, well, I appreciate it, guys. Mark and Steve, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, take care, Andrea.
All right. All right, bye.
It's Andrea Taylor from Dallas,
Even
Fort
though the
Worth,
screen
Texas.
said Taylor, by the way. Did you notice that?
She put a D at the end of her name because there's more than one Andrea Taylor. So, it's like why it's Jeff Smith 170 instead of Jeff Smith 171 or something. Something like that. We're going to take another quick break. I see in the chat room people are saying that our mics aren't loud enough, so let me run a couple of commercials and see if I could do a quick fix on that. And then we will be back probably in a little over a minute.
Hey, losers, ever drink and drive? Yeah. Then you'll love the Mad Dogs. Collect them all. There's Wendy and her innocent family. And check out Stupid Stu. Now any idiot can drink and drive in the safety of their own home. Look at them go. Stay in the road, Stu. Slow down and be careful. Whoa, look out for that family. Whoops. It's game over, Stu.
Drink and drive and you'll be playing dead. Jailbird Joe and Bereaved family sold separately.
This one's for Jason Smith.
I want to take a moment to talk about Ed Hardy. So many people hate on his clothes and accessories, calling them gaudy or ridiculous. But I love Ed Hardy, and I think people need to learn to appreciate his tattoo-inspired clothing. I mean, I don't know about you, but I used to have the hardest time telling the difference between the douchebags and the non-douchebags. Sometimes I'd even be on a date before I'd realize, ugh, I'm out with another giant tool bag. But that doesn't happen anymore. Not with Ed Hardy on the scene. Now when a guy approaches me and he's got metallic wings on his shirt or studded hearts and skulls and crossbones, I know to run the other direction as fast as I can. It's like someone's made a uniform for all the ass clowns out there. So thank you, Ed Hardy. I love you.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and Post Hoc Ergo Propter Hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits. Any remarks resembling anyone living or dead is purely coincidental and in no way represent Mother Earth, Father Time, Aunt Marilyn, Uncle Fester, all organized religions, independent contractors, official friends of the show, the North America Professional Dart Alliance, the Undead, the Grateful Dead, or Sharon D. Butler.
Okay, so we're off the hook with all those people, and we're back. What'd you think of Andrea?
I thought it was great.
Well-spoken woman?
I wish her well, and her team for that matter.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I'm like really jealous. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that would be such a fun thing to do.
Right.
You know, try to, break a world record and, raise money in the process and have some fun. I mean, pretty sure the
Which
team...
would you rather prefer, though? Would you rather the Guinness Book of World Records representative be there or the Guinness Beer representative be there?
I don't know. I'm kind of off Guinness.
Okay.
Without talking
If the
about
Smithwick's representative was there, then
different story.
It wouldn't matter.
Much different story. That would be a very difficult call.
I think it would be fantastic if they could break the record and raise money for charity. That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. It seems like a worthy charity, too. Just a reminder, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks to Redwood Darts and Windy City Fabricators.
Couldn't do without them.
No. Especially Windy City Fabricators.
Exactly.
We'd be in a world of hurt. We have some housekeeping to do from last week. If anybody missed last week's show, we went on and on and on and on and on and on
and on and on
about our first installment in building a better darter, building
the perfect darter. The perfect darter.
How did we? What did we end up? Darren Young.
We ended up with Darren Young as the stance representative.
Right. So our perfect player has this stance of Darren Young. That's
yes.
That's where we stood. Now. I got quite a few emails, and most of them were polite. And one interesting, Facebook post. And you can feel free to email darttalk@gmail.com. And I generally keep most of it confidential, especially if it's insulting to me.
Of course.
But we had an interesting post, and you read it before the show, from Mike Abbott in Michigan, who was saying when he coaches youth players. What he does is he tells them to put enough weight on their back foot so that if somebody kicks their foot, it doesn't move. What did you think about that?
Well, my first question is, why is anybody kicking your foot?
Nah, well.
After that. But we talked about it, and I agree with you. I think that if the more weight you have on your back foot, the more you're allowing your body to shift.
Yeah, it's potential movement there.
And so if you just stand there and put as much weight on your front foot as possible and then just go through the motion of just throwing your arm, the pendulum arm of the dart, you're going to realize that your body is going to move less the more weight you have on your front foot.
Yeah, I mean, your body really doesn't need to move any at all. And I don't know if I misspoke or what the deal was. So let me just kind of reiterate, because I was talking about some guys like John Part, you'll see sometimes that their foot raises up.
Right.
Putting weight on that foot is totally doesn't do any good.
I think one of the things he posted is that he said we might have said something about 95%. We might have put a percentage on there last week, and that might have been the wrong thing to say. I don't know.
Okay, well, you want to put, let's see if we can rephrase it then. You want to put as much weight on your front foot as you can without losing your balance.
Yes, right. Without falling over.
Right, and the more you lean, the more risk there is of you losing your balance. So your back leg, if you were to, God forbid, chop it off and throw it on a meat scale, I mean, it would weigh, I don't know, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, whatever a leg weighs. Depends on whose leg it is, right? Not going to, we won't go there, but.
Yeah.
And that back leg, even though you're not putting weight on it, is still going to serve as a counterweight. And I think when you see guys like Part where their back leg lifts off the ground, that's actually a good thing because it's preventing the rest of you from moving. It's kind of hard to explain the kind of teeter-totter thing, but that's kind of what I was getting at with that.
I think that's the best point, though. It is a counterweight, even if it's not actually touching the ground. It's saving your body from falling over, basically.
Yeah.
The more weight you can put, so apparently if you have a bigger back leg, you can put more weight on your front leg. But anyway, I do agree with you. I think that's the best way to put it. You're still limiting the amount of weight it's not 100% of your weight is on your front foot because you have the counterweight of the back end of your body.
Right. So, okay. Now, we were going to move on to the next component, but I decided that the best thing to do, because like you got messed up,
this
right?
Wasn't
I showed
in the meeting.
You. Well, yeah, it was.
Oh, okay. Did I miss it?
Well,
you've decided.
Yes,
Let's
it
go
was
with
an editorial decision by the board. No, but the like you were saying how like the new grip messed you up. Was it any better this week?
Yeah, which I actually didn't play darts this week in a match, but I practiced and it's a lot better.
Yeah, it feels more comfortable. Right. Starts to feel more natural. And everything.
I did go and try the foot instead of on the angle, and I couldn't do anything with that. So I gave that back up. I went back to with a 45-degree angle at the line instead of parallel with the line because I just didn't feel like I could practice long enough to try and do that. But I've been working on the grip better, and it just at home, obviously I got to play in a match to figure out, once you get the competitive juices flowing and the adrenaline and the nerves, then, I could revert back to the crappy I was throwing before.
I don't think you need to be self-deprecating there. I mean, a caution for the people that, are listening to the show for tips like, Ray Carver and Chris White and Scotty Wollaston that were in the chat in the chat room.
And they're listening for tips, I'm sure.
Right, I'm sure.
Especially from me.
Right. But no, the warning is you don't really want to try to make too many changes at once. If you're going to work on your grip, keep everything else the same until you get the grip ironed out. And when you can go and play a normal match without regressing to the way you used to do things, then you've got it enough ingrained in your muscle memory where you can start considering, maybe, changing something else. I wouldn't try to do the grip and the stance at the same time.
No, I didn't. I tried to do the stance at first, and then I was just like, was so uncomfortable. I was like, you know what, I'm going back to this. And
you're not going to know which you missed. Was it because of the stance or because of the grip? You'll just confuse yourself. So a word to the wise people at home. Now, I did check with Steve Brown because I ripped him last week about standing behind the line for no apparent reason. And, we had a long conversation. And, the thing I really love about Steve Brown, and this is the one who lives in America, not the younger guy in England who's doing the youth academy. But the Steve Brown in the Midwest. Let me see if I can because he went on for 15 minutes. It's going to be kind of hard to summarize, but what he was basically saying is that it evolved that he would go behind the line because it evolved out of him playing stage matches in England. This is going to be you're going to find this surprising. So the biggest fear of the people that are going and playing stage matches is that when they get on stage, the board looks too far away. So I'm immediately like, this is, how is that possible? You're never going to see a better lit dartboard than one that's got TV lights.
Wouldn't it be too close? Like it's,
that's
exactly what I would think.
Well, he's basically like, look, you don't want the thing to look that it's too far away, so what you do in the practice room is you warm up a few inches behind the line so that when you go to the board to play for real, it doesn't look too far away. And I'm immediately thinking, well, what if it looks too close? Isn't that just as bad?
I would think the same thing.
So, that was one of his things. And then he's been doing it for a while this way. And basically, he started talking about how, when you play around a lot and, people that, go to different tournaments and stuff like that, what you'll invariably find is you'll find boards that aren't hung correctly. You'll find lines that are mismarked and stuff. And it's his way of determining
where he should stand.
Yeah, he's basically saying that, like, his stroke will tell him if the board is off. He trusts his stroke so much that if he's missing high, well, then the board's low.
Well,
like,
so now,
I'm like, you're kidding me, right?
Did he have an answer, though, what happens if the board looks too close then when you actually stand at the correct spot?
No, he was rolling. I couldn't really. Oh. It's a complete reversal of what he's saying. So I'm like, I'm not going to hit him with that. This was his answer, and I'm like, okay. I mean, obviously, he's a great player. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
I don't think I would recommend to anybody, oh, by the way, before you play a big match, warm up somewhere that you won't be throwing from later. That's like one of the oldest, like, bar tricks in the book is like, hey, right before you're going to play somebody, you say, hey, you want to try my darts? Mess up his feel a little bit.
Right,
so then,
right.
His first 6 darts are a mess because he's used to throwing the wrong ones. I mean, like, really? Are you kidding me? So anyway.
So what'd you get out of it?
Well, exactly that. I mean,
it's just he's comfortable with what he's doing. He's been doing it for years, and he knows how it works.
Yeah, and it evolved. It evolved in such a way that now that's where he throws from, and that's how he calibrates everything.
Right.
And it's like, okay, fine. And he does say that sometimes he will move. If he feels like, the line's mismarked, he'll move up or something like that. So it's kind of a touchy-feely thing with him, and I was like, okay, fine. I don't know.
Well, I think in the end all be all is you're always going to have exceptions to the rule, but we're trying to,
from
a general standpoint, you're talking
right.
about this is really the way it should be done, and then obviously when you get that good, you can basically do anything you want. Once you figure it out and you practice that way, you become that good, that's the way it is.
Yeah, I guess.
But you're not going to teach anybody to practice that way.
No, we're definitely not going to advocate or recommend it or anything like that. So anyway, the other thing as far as like, following our tips, because, the emails about how we're messing up people's games,
right.
I sure don't want them from very many people. So, one of the things that people have to, and I think I said something about this last year, every darter needs to know what kind of darter they are.
True.
As far as like, when you start talking about tactics and all this other stuff and your mentality in a match and stuff, different people approach the game in different ways.
I think you notice that against the people you play as well. That you can see everybody's got a different identity for your opponents.
Right, but yeah, down the road, we're going to be talking about style and some things that are like, a little, I don't want esoteric, touchy-feely, whatever. So some of the tips that will be given in the future are going to apply more to certain kinds of players than other kinds of players. So people need to understand themselves well enough to know what kind of player are you.
Exactly. Right.
So I made a list of 6 kinds of players that I consider somewhat generic, categories that I'm thinking, in my never humble opinion, that, most players are going to fit into one of these categories
can probably look
pretty
at themselves.
solidly.
They can look at themselves and go, I'm going to go into this one.
Yeah.
You could possibly be in one or two.
Yeah, you could be like 75-25,
right.
Something like that. But
yeah.
For the vast majority of people, they're going to find that, their personality as a player is gonna fit into one of these, and that you recognize it and accept it, and it's gonna help you in your overall approach to improving your
Correct.
game.
Right.
So you have the list. Can you actually read it?
I can.
All right. So there's
the list of 6 would be
there's 6 kinds of players.
A rhythmic player.
Rhythmic. Or a rhythm player.
Rhythm.
Right. I think Andrea said
she likes to get in a rhythm.
Yeah.
Instinctual.
An instinctual player. Okay.
Methodical.
Okay. Well, let's take them one by one. An instinctual player
Oh, I thought you wanted to read the list, but you actually you want to pause and talk about.
You want to read the list first and then pause and talk
go ahead.
about them?
Go ahead. Let's talk about instinctual.
Well, so people know what we're talking about. Like an instinctual player, I would consider, especially like in cricket and maybe the way he plays 0-1. Steve Brown strikes me as being a somewhat instinctual player where what he's feeling at the time is what he's throwing at. And it doesn't always make sense. You know, he does some whacked out stuff from time to time, especially on his finishes. And he'll do some things in cricket that on the surface may appear to be somewhat radical. But he's convinced that whatever is in his mind and whatever he's feeling at the moment is exactly what he should throw at, and that's what he does.
Right.
And you know some
Sure.
like Kurt Hartman in Chicago is a guy like this. And you know, after the match, you know, you'll be like, what did you throw at that for? And he'll be like, hey, I see that now. Okay. But in the moment when he's playing, that's what he does, and he's been very successful at it. You know, Steve has obviously, you know, been like, you know.
Whereas as opposed to the rhythm player who's basically just up there, same number, boom, 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 same throw, just as long as you can get in. It does, you know.
Yeah.
You don't change your mind. You walk up there. You want to throw the same way every way, no matter what number you're throwing at.
Well, yeah, a rhythm player, I would say, is a player who plays their best when they're, you know, playing a relatively, getting to the line quick, and, you know, you'll notice that they'll throw their darts exactly the same. It'll take them exactly with a stopwatch. You watch them throw 3 darts, they're out of their hand, you know, within like, you know, 0.3 of a second every single time.
Right.
They throw everything, you know, kind of the same way. And you'll see, you know, especially I think there are soft tippers where I see a lot of soft tippers do this like kind of rehearsal stroke before they throw their first dart. Yeah. But then, you know, once they throw, it's like boom, boom, boom every time. So they're actually, some of them strike me to be rhythm players, even though they're so deliberate at the beginning that you might not think of them as rhythm players.
Right.
Which brings us to the next category.
Methodical.
Now, methodical players, everybody knows one. They come off as being deliberate, and they probably annoy you when they're hitting because they're slow. So when you get a methodical player against a rhythm player, it's a contrast of styles, and it's incumbent on the rhythm player to figure out how they're going to get their rhythm in when they're going to the line, you know, less
10,
frequently.
15 seconds later than they anticipated.
Right, but methodical players, you know, they'll give it away. I mean, they'll go through their little, like a golfer has a pre-shot routine. You know, they'll go through their pre-shot routine. They generally throw slower. You know, they'll take more time in between darts and stuff like that, which doesn't mean that they can't play. It's just, you know, we're trying to, you know. But then a methodical player is also one who probably likes to listen to the show and you know, kind of think about a lot of these things, where an instinctual player grabs a dart and throws it, and he's not going to worry about where his arm angle is.
Could care less about his stance.
You know, they just sort of throw.
Right.
And, you know, it's fun to play that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's methodical players have a hard time just playing like that. You know what I mean? I mean, they have to get their mental processes, you know, however they work and stuff. So, you know, it's kind of an interesting...
Yeah, they're more concerned about the actual pullback, the actual follow-through, the actual stance, the actual everything.
Well, hopefully not while they're playing, because I don't think they're going to be too successful doing that. But when you start to talk about what's going to help your game, you know, a methodical player is going to get more help from one thing than an instinctual player will, right?
Okay.
Right, instinctual players are going to maybe do one little tweak and try it out and see if it works. A methodical player would literally, you know, start analyzing, you know, different elements of this, that, kind of like we did last week and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a big difference there. What's after that?
You got the grinder.
Yeah, somebody accused me of being a grinder once, and I just
really?
looked at him like, yeah.
I couldn't see you being a grinder.
Neither could I. And he's like, well, you're just a grinder. But he was a knucklehead. At some point, he's like, I can't believe you beat me that third leg. And I'm like, well, I threw 3 9-counts.
Right. That's not a grinder.
You did?
A grinder to me is the guy that just all of a sudden, you know, basically maybe has a little less ability, but just somehow seems to hit the correct dart at the right time, or just digs down deep at the right moment and hits something, as opposed to just, I mean, you don't dig down deep and hit 9 counts, especially 3 of them. You just, you know, you might have to hit that 1080 to get to an out and win the game, and you just hit it at the right time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, a grinder is the kind of player that even if he's down 250 points and you're on a double, he's going to try and hit a 1080 and pressure the out.
Exactly.
A grinder is the kind of player that no matter what happens, he's in there, pitching and doing his best. He can throw
6 bad darts, but he's still he's going to throw 6 really good darts and still give him a shot to win.
Yeah, they don't smile a lot. They don't talk a lot. Grinders are more on the quiet side. And I wonder if maybe it's not fair, but like Bob Seneve strikes me as being something of a grinder. He doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't smile a lot, but he never gives up until the last starts in the board. He's in there, trying to beat you.
Right.
And he'll do it all day long. You talk about stamina, like Andrea Taylor was talking about how she has a lot of stamina. You look at a grinder all day long.
They just throw darts.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll just play all day long, and if you beat them once,
So.
Oh, I just glanced at the chat. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got? We got a couple more.
So the opposite of the grinder basically is then the emotional player.
Yeah, emotional players. I wish I was an emotional player because it looks like a lot of fun, and you know guys like this. They get all charged up no matter what they hit.
But see, I don't really actually like watching those guys.
I go back and forth.
So I don't know if I'd want to be one of them.
I want. It looks like fun. It looks like, and you look at these guys, playing in England, where at the end of a leg, they're exhorting themselves and they're screaming while the crowd's screaming, so you can't really hear them, and they're fist pumping and doing all this stuff. But then in the middle of the leg, they'll hit a 1080 and they'll barely raise their arm.
Right.
They're acknowledging the crowd, but hey, the leg ain't over. So what have I
really
done?
That's a lot of the way. The difference between England and U.S. is there's nobody cheering behind us, so nobody turns around and after they win a game and is exorbitant.
I don't know. It's hard to be an emotional player in America because you're playing a match with somebody, and this happened to me at the Nationals, not this year, but the year before, where I don't know. I think I hit a double bull and 2 triples or something to take a leg off somebody that I had no business taking, or I hit 2 double bulls and a triple, and I'm going to grab my darts. I'm like, come on, and then nobody else is really talking, and then somebody like 3 boards down is like, hey, other people are trying to play here.
Right.
And it's like, well, sorry.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes. I let it out a little bit, but it's hard to be that way in every single match you play, and there are guys that seem to do it, and especially you talk about quote bar shooters,
right?
And I don't know if it's more prevalent in soft tip than steel or whatever, but I see guys that are trying to pump themselves up, and they go to the board and they grab their darts and all this stuff, and I don't know if it helps or not. I don't think it does, but if that's your personality, then that's probably the way you should play.
You're not going to change it. You
shouldn't. I don't know. I think people try to, it gets kind of beaten out of you a little bit, I mean.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate if you're an emotional player because you really, if that's the best way that you're going to play, then you probably should.
Right.
And everybody else is just going to have to wear earplugs or something.
Just
you know what I mean?
It. They're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, and then, you look at somebody like, John Kaczynski, who I think would agree that he's an emotional player, and it's not like he's screaming after every 3 darts, but, if he hits a big shot, it.
Right.
And I don't think he does that in any way because of gamesmanship or anything like that. I think that's his personality, and that's how he plays, and you have to play to your personality, I think, is what I'm stressing with this stuff. So, what was the last one?
And then the last one would be manufactured.
Yeah, manufactured players are even more deliberate than the methodical
guys.
And I know some really good manufactured players, and I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want them to think that I'm dissing them in any way. But there are really good players out there that don't have as much natural ability as some other players.
Right.
And they've worked at it, and they've managed to come up with a way that works for them. So sometimes they may look awkward, they may look unorthodox, they may look blocky.
You can say that in any
whatever.
sport, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's plenty of people that have made a lot of money without the talent of other people in every sport, but they've worked harder and they've figured it out and they learned the game.
And they figured out what works best for them.
Right.
Which is kind of like a good way to wrap this up because, we're going to be giving a lot of, tips and stuff, in the shows to come.
Well, I don't give tips.
Well,
you could give tips.
We're talking about, we're talking about how to get better.
Right.
Is
exactly.
what this is all about.
Right.
And of these 6 categories, I don't think I would recommend, you should be this or you should be that because it's better. You'll play better if you're this way and you'll play better than you're this way. I mean, look at golfers. Look at a guy like, look at Jack Nicklaus, who's either methodical or manufactured, depending on who you talk to, and Arnold Palmer, who's like instinctual. I remember this, Dan Jenkins said he has a golf swing that looks like, he learned it in the shaft of a coal mine, hacking coal. I mean, he's got this weird follow through and but he won.
Yeah. Lee Trevino.
Lee Trevino's another guy.
Right.
Very, very unorthodox way of swinging a golf club, but it works for him. Jim Furyk, same way.
Sure.
There's a manufactured golf swing if you've ever seen one.
Then you got Fred Couples and Ernie Els who are just smooth and nice. And
they look like they were born swinging a golf club.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you could be successful doing any of these.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was interesting.
That's why I think you prefaced at the beginning of this is you just have to figure out which one you are.
Yeah.
And pretty much any one of us is going to fit into one of these categories.
I think so.
And just fit into that category and run with it because that's just the player that you are and that's the way it works.
Yeah, it'll help you, listening to the future shows.
Right.
If you know what kind of player you are, especially wait till we start talking about cricket.
Right. If you're emotional, don't try to be manufactured. It's just not going to work.
And yeah, exactly.
It's not going to work.
You really have to. You can't just pick a style off a tree. The tree is inside you growing every day, and you have to, recognize it. Very poetic, huh?
It is kind of poetic, yeah.
That's from around midnight.
Scott Walston wants to have you come watch him catch an alligator this weekend, by the way.
He's always talking about, gator wrestling and stuff like that, and, if I ever shave my head, him and I are going to be a great doubles partner.
Nice.
Because...
Sharon, who are the Reds playing?
Oh, gosh, who cares?
Oh,
the
they're
Reds.
up 8-zip.
Whatever. Are we done? We're over an hour, aren't we?
Yeah, we're an hour and 20. Or hour and 10,
gosh.
Hour and 10.
Okay, just a reminder, everybody, you need to start checking the show out on YouTube. I'll have it posted in a day or two, and I think you'll get a huge kick out of it. We're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Thanks to Andrea Taylor for joining us today.
Absolutely.
We'll try to get Jeff Smith on next week. I don't know if he tried to call. I got the ringer turned off on Skype, so... my bad. Hopefully the audio was okay for everybody. Thanks for participating in the chat, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Yep. And let me find... Oh, where is the... I lost the music.
Darren Young and Andrea Taylor online.
Oh, they're always online. I lost the closing music. Vamp for a minute. Let me find it here.
No, we appreciate it. We had a good chat room tonight. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and listening, and I think it went pretty well.
And just so everybody knows, our search for a chat room girl is continuing, and if we ever do find one, we'll be able to participate more in the chat and everything like that. So download the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook, check out our Facebook page. At some point, darttalk.us will be a functional website, and we'll have some goodies on there for everybody. But don't forget the Ustream channel. Everybody should subscribe to that thing, Dart Talk US. If you just go onto YouTube and type that in, you'll get right to the channel and subscribe to it. And hope everybody had a good time, and we will Dart Talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening.
All right.